It was yet another Tuesday evening in Manhattan, and Thaddeus, known as Thad Blackwood, strode confidently across the polished marble floors of Le Jordan, a contender for the title of the most exclusive restaurant on the Upper East Side, his Italian leather shoes echoing with each step. By the age of 33, he had become familiar with the experience of eating alone, discovering an unusual solace in the isolation that accompanied his achievements. The maitre d' instantly recognized him. After all, he had been a regular every Tuesday for the past 3 years, ever since he assumed the role of CEO at Blackwood Technologies. "Is this your regular table, Mr. Blackwood?" Marcel, the maitre d', waved with refined grace toward the corner table that offered a view of Central Park. The late autumn sunset draped the sky in vivid oranges and purples, a sight that would demand a month's salary for most to savor alongside their meal. "Thanks, Marcel." Thad straightened his tailored charcoal suit jacket, a subtle gesture born from the tension of board meetings. The restaurant buzzed with soft chatter and the delicate sound of fine china, creating a harmonious atmosphere of luxury and elegance that typically allowed him to relax after long, exhausting work days. A young sommelier arrived with the wine list, yet Thad dismissed it with a wave of his hand. The typical Bordeaux, Thomas. He had memorized the names of all the staff here, a practice his father had ingrained in him before his passing, entrusting him with the company. "Success is forged through connections, my boy," he had remarked. "Even those that appear trivial." As Thomas stepped away to get the wine, Thad's fingers wandered lightly along the edge of his phone screen. 3 missed calls from his mother, likely yet another effort to arrange a meeting with some girl's daughter. She had never fully absolved him for allowing Autumn to fade away 9 years prior. The recollection of Autumn's brilliance lingered like a paper cut, tiny yet piercing, catching him off guard with its sting at the most unexpected moments. He was on the verge of checking his emails when a sound drew his attention, a recognizable laugh that sent a thrill through him. It was a laugh that lingered in his mind, the sort that would rouse him from slumber on leisurely Sunday mornings. His head turned without thought toward the sound, and time itself appeared to freeze in that moment. Autumn was being led to a table across the restaurant. Her copper hair had been trimmed, cascading just beyond her shoulders in refined waves, yet she retained that same fluid grace in her movements that had initially captivated him at their college graduation. Her deep green dress accentuated her eyes, making them shimmer even from afar. Yet it was not merely her presence that caused his breath to hitch in his throat. Strolling alongside her, a trio of identical little girls mirrored her every move, creating a captivating scene. Each possessed the warm hues of autumn in their hair, and as they approached, he could discern the reflection of his own steel-gray eyes. They appeared to be approximately 9 years of age. The calculations were straightforward. His hand clutched the edge of the table with such intensity that his knuckles blanched to a stark white. One of the girls held a book, her gaze fixed downward as she strolled, almost colliding with a waiter. Another was scanning the restaurant with keen interest, absorbing every detail as if she were committing it to memory for future reference. The third walked with impeccable posture, her chin elevated in a manner that strikingly evoked memories of his own mother. He stood still, captivated, as they took their seats at a table merely 2 sections from his own. Near enough to catch fragments of their dialogue. So near that it was inevitable for Autumn to eventually take notice of him. Thomas came back with the wine, yet Thad hardly acknowledged him. His thoughts surged through a whirlwind of memories. The last time he had witnessed Autumn, it was marked by their last heated exchange regarding his decision to assume control of the company rather than embarking on their entrepreneurial journey together, and the way she vanished without a word in the aftermath. He sought her out, but she had altered her number, relocated, and her family had formed a tight barrier around her. At that moment, understanding dawned upon him. One of the girls, the inquisitive one, was already gazing in his direction, her head tilted slightly as if attempting to unravel a mystery. He could see his own emotions reflected in her face, and it sent his heart racing. The burden of all he had overlooked, all the truths that had eluded him, loomed heavy, ready to engulf him. Is it time for him to rise and depart? Ought he to face her? Ought he to feign ignorance of their presence? 9 years of business training, of making million-dollar decisions in seconds, and none of it had equipped him for this moment. In that moment, Autumn lifted her gaze, and their eyes locked from across the restaurant. The hue faded from her complexion, and the menu she clutched fell from her grasp, clattering against the delicate china. For what seemed like a never-ending moment, neither of them stirred. The lively restaurant began to blur into the background, with only the pounding of Thad's heartbeat resonating in his ears. The inquisitive girl, whom he now regarded as his own, pulled at Autumn's sleeve and murmured something that jolted her back to the present moment. "Mom, why does that man resemble the image in your memory box?" The girl's voice reached Thad, each word striking like a hammer against the meticulously crafted barrier he had erected to shield himself from his history. Autumn swiftly composed herself, her years of experience as a high school drama teacher shining through in her ability to regain her poise. "Skylar, dear, could you please concentrate on selecting your dinner?" Yet, her hands quivered ever so slightly as she retrieved the dropped menu, and Thad noticed the quick rise and fall of her chest, a telltale sign of her anxiety that he had always recognized. The daughter, lost in her book, glanced up from her novel, revealing that it was A Wrinkle in Time, and regarded him with a focus that felt like staring into a reflection. The third girl, the one with impeccable posture, leaned in to share a secret with her sisters, prompting a chorus of giggles, while their mother's expression stayed taut. Thad's wine remained undisturbed, droplets of condensation racing down the glass, mirroring the perspiration gathering on his palms. A myriad of questions surged through his thoughts. What was stopping her from sharing it with him? How could she possibly hide this from him? What were those names? Were they aware of anything regarding him? The burden of 9 years without bedtime stories and the first days of school weighed heavily on his heart. His phone vibrated, yet another call from his mother. If she only realized she was a grandmother to triplets. The idea almost brought a chuckle, highlighting the sheer ridiculousness of the situation. His mother, who had been nagging him about grandchildren for years, had 3 she had never met. With his characteristic flair, Marcel made his way to Autumn's table, and Thad caught the sound of his warm greeting. "Ah, Miss Sterling, it's a pleasure to have you return. And the young women, Skylar, Phoenix, and River. What a delight it is to reunite with all of you once more. Were they frequent visitors to this place? How had he never encountered them before?" The names resonated in his mind, Skylar, Phoenix, River. He aligned them with his observations. Skylar seemed to embody curiosity, Phoenix appeared to be the reader, and River presented herself as the proper lady. The names were stunning, precisely the sort of distinctive, significant selections he would have anticipated from Autumn. She had always cherished the connection between nature and humanity, forever envisioning names that whispered tales. "Mom," Phoenix's voice had a gentle quality, yet it was distinct and easy to understand. "Isn't that the individual from your previous business strategy? Is it the one from the coffee shop picture?" Autumn's cheeks warmed, and Thad's thoughts raced back to the dream they had woven together. A series of imaginative coffee shops named Sterling Black, merging her artistic flair with his entrepreneurial acumen. The scheme they had tirelessly refined through countless sleepless nights, the aspiration that had faded when he opted to assume control of his father's business instead. River, embodying her graceful composure, arranged her silverware with precision and articulated her thoughts with deliberate care. "Mother, I think it would be rather rude to gawk, although he certainly has a remarkable likeness." "Girls," Autumn's voice was firm yet soft, "could you please? Let us savor our festive dinner together." Festivity. Thad's thoughts surged like a whirlwind. What was the occasion for their celebration? Had he forgotten their special day? What is one of their accomplishments? How many other celebrations had he overlooked? He realized he was standing there, having not actively chosen to be in that position. His legs felt stiff and unyielding as he approached their table for the first time. He noticed the surprise in Autumn's eyes, her hand moving reflexively as if to shield her daughters, their daughters. Thomas materialized beside him. "Excuse me, sir. Is the wine in good condition?" Thad scarcely registered his words. 9 years of board meetings had instilled in him the ability to navigate with intention, even as chaos swirled around him. Every step toward their table was akin to wading through thick, murky depths, yet he persevered onward. He needed to find out. He needed to grasp the situation. The girls observed his approach with a mix of reactions, Skylar's eager curiosity, Phoenix's keen evaluation peeking over her book, and River's impeccably measured observation. 3 distinct reflections of his own visage stared back at him, intertwined with Autumn's traits in a manner that stirred a deep ache within his heart. Autumn rose to her feet just as he approached their table, positioning herself subtly in front of the girls in a naturally defensive manner. Upon closer inspection, he noticed that time had treated her well. She appeared even more stunning than he recalled, with delicate laugh lines framing her eyes that hinted at happiness he had not shared. "Thad," she murmured, her voice a soft melody that still held the charm capable of bringing a smile to his face each morning. Now it filled him with a heavy sense of regret. In the autumn, he found his own voice echoing strangely in his ears. Then, unable to restrain his curiosity, he cast his gaze upon each of the girls in succession. Furthermore, Skylar, Phoenix, and River. The ensuing silence was overwhelming. Skylar was the first to shatter the silence, leaning in with her elbows resting on the table, undeterred by River's disapproving look. "Ah, so you are the one. The gentleman from the cafe establishes roots. Mom keeps them close to her." "Skylar," Autumn cautioned, though her voice quivered just a bit. The restaurant surrounding them maintained its graceful rhythm of servers and hushed dialogue, unaware of the emotional upheaval unfolding at their table. "Please," Thad said, his voice thick with emotion, "may I sit?" He motioned toward the vacant chair at their table, his gaze fixed intently on Autumn's face. She paused for a moment, then offered a slight nod, retreating into her own seat. Phoenix gently placed a bookmark in her book, pausing to set it aside with care. Her gray eyes, his eyes, examining him with a fervor that constricted his throat. "Mother mentioned that you excel in business," stating it quite plainly. "Your company's success serves as a compelling example in her economics class." Thad's eyebrows arched in surprise as he gazed at Autumn. "Economics course?" A delicate hue graced her cheeks. "I currently instruct business and drama at Wellington Prep. The students tend to engage effectively with practical examples from the real world." River straightened up even more, as if that were feasible. "Mother holds the record as the youngest department head in their history. She has achieved a great deal." Her voice carried a fierce sense of guardianship that sent a pang through Thad's heart. These girls had been taught to watch over their mother, to stand as her protectors. A person distinct from him. He spoke gently, recalling how Autumn had consistently been the brightest mind in any gathering, despite her never showing it. "Your ability to guide others and illuminate their potential has always been remarkable. Just as she did with you." Skylar inquired with a sense of naivety, yet the way Autumn's complexion drained at the question revealed a deeper, more complex emotion. Memories surged forth, Autumn burning the midnight oil to assist him with his business finals, her insightful ideas during his internship presentations, the way she consistently encouraged him to expand his horizons and aspire for greater dreams. Until he opted for the secure route rather than pursuing their collective aspiration. "Indeed," he replied truthfully, his gaze fixed firmly on Autumn. "Precisely in that manner." A waiter made his way to their table, pausing at the palpable tension in the air, before finally clearing his throat. "Should I include another setting, Miss Sterling?" Before Autumn had a chance to reply, River interjected with impeccable social finesse. "Absolutely, that sounds great. Today, we gather to honor our academic accomplishments, and it feels fitting to have everyone who is interested in attendance." She stressed the final words in a manner that left Thad pondering just how much these girls were aware of him. He inquired, taking advantage of the opportunity to discuss academic accomplishments. Phoenix inclined her head slightly, a faint smile dancing on her lips. We were all honored with unique acknowledgement. I triumphed at the regional science fair with my project focused on sustainable urban farming. I landed the lead in the school play. Skylar exclaimed, practically bouncing in her seat. I'm taking on the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And I, River declared with a sense of noble pride, was chosen as the youngest student body president in the school's history. Thad experienced a gut-wrenching sensation, as if he had been struck hard in the abdomen. They were incredibly accomplished, remarkably brilliant, and shared qualities reminiscent of both him and Autumn, each in their own unique way. His gaze ignited with intensity as he beheld Autumn. They are truly remarkable, he murmured. She nodded gently, then spoke with a touch of firmness, asserting that they had possessed all they required. The silence was palpable, a weighty presence that conveyed their independence from you. Yet, gazing upon these three extraordinary young women, his daughters, Thad found himself questioning the validity of that belief now. The waiter came back with the table settings, and as he meticulously arranged them, Thad caught sight of something that sent a chill down his spine. In Phoenix's book rested a well-known leather bookmark. One he had gifted Autumn years back, inscribed with their cherished quote, "Some infinities are bigger than other infinities." She had held on to it. Throughout all these years, she had held on to it. Now their daughter was using it, likely unaware of its importance. How many other fragments of him had Autumn intricately woven into their daughter's existence without their awareness? Mr. Blackwood, River interjected with a touch of formality, drawing him back from his reverie. Since you're partaking in our celebratory dinner, might you be interested in hearing about our upcoming plans as well? Our approach to middle school has been carefully planned and intentional. Junior high. The word struck him with the force of heavy stones. His daughters were envisioning their futures while he was encountering them for the very first time. The burden of all he had overlooked bore heavily upon him, looming like a shadow ready to engulf him entirely. The waiter approached with menus, momentarily easing the tension in the air. Thad observed the distinct approaches each girl took with the menu, Phoenix meticulously weighing her choices, Skylar eagerly flipping through the pages, and River thoughtfully scrutinizing the wine list, even though she was far too young to make a selection from it. The cocoa vin is excellent here, Thad remarked instinctively, then recognized that he was offering menu suggestions to his own daughters as if they were colleagues in a meeting. The ridiculousness of the scenario loomed large, ready to engulf him. That's Mom's favorite, Skylar remarked with enthusiasm. She consistently chooses it for special occasions. She paused, tilting her head slightly. Have you heard about that? Is that the reason you choose it as well? Autumn's grip on her water glass grew firmer. Skylar, do you recall our conversation regarding personal questions? But Mom, Skylar argued, you always say that understanding is strength. It appears that Mr. Blackwood possesses quite a bit of knowledge regarding you. Additionally, he shares our gray eyes and the same subtle crease between his eyebrows when deep in thought, reminiscent of the expression River wears while crafting her student council speeches. Phoenix glanced up from her menu, her keen intellect evidently assembling the details in her mind. He shares that same habit of fiddling with his left cuff when he's anxious, much like I do during science presentations. Girls, could you please listen to Autumn's strained voice? No, Thad interjected softly. They are entitled to clarity. He glanced at each girl in succession before turning his gaze to Autumn. They are entitled to the truth. What is the reality? River's voice was deliberate and measured. Exploring the significance of your photo in Mom's cherished memory box. On the reasons she holds on to the old sterling black business plans tucked away in her desk drawer. Exploring the reasons behind her silence on Father's Day. Autumn fell into an eerie silence, and Thad sensed as if the very air had vanished from the space around him. He was unaware of Father's Day. I hadn't realized she still held thoughts of him at that time. Or perhaps, River continued with that same meticulous attention, About why Mom accepted that teaching position at Wellington Prep 9 years ago, despite it being across the country from where you were establishing your company. The elements abruptly fell into alignment. Wellington Prep was located in Seattle. That's precisely why he had never encountered them in this place before. They are surely in New York for a noteworthy event. The local science competition, the theatrical production, the leadership role in student governance. These were extraordinary accomplishments. These were the motivations that drew them back to the place where their journey first unfolded. You moved to Seattle, he murmured, his gaze fixed on Autumn. That's the reason I was unable to locate you. I had to, she whispered, and for the first time, he noticed tears glistening in her eyes. Your path has been chosen. I had to select my own. Without sharing any details about them. The words escaped him with an edge he hadn't meant to convey, and he noticed the three girls recoil just a bit. Autumn's voice was tight as she stated, you made it abundantly clear that Blackwood Technologies was your main focus. The evening you informed me of your decision to lead the company rather than embark on Sterling Black with me, you stated, and I quote, some dreams must perish for others to thrive. Do you recall? He recalled. He had been utterly certain he was making the right choice, treading the path laid out by his father, ensuring not just his own future, but theirs as he believed back then. He was unaware that their future was already blossoming within her, three small lives destined to inherit his gray eyes and her indomitable spirit. 3 weeks after that night, Autumn continued, her voice a mere whisper, I discovered I was pregnant, with triplets. I visited your office to share something, but my stomach dropped. He anticipated her next words with precision. The recollection of that day lingered in his mind for years, though for reasons he had never anticipated. However, I found myself in a board meeting when he spoke on her behalf, his tone empty, and my assistant informed you that I was too occupied to meet with anyone, including you. I had clearly stated that I should not be disturbed under any circumstances. Schuyler inhaled quietly, as Phoenix's fingers brushed against her mother's beneath the table. For the first time, River's flawless posture wavered as she glanced between her parents. You never returned, Thad remarked, the truth striking him with the force of a tangible impact. That was the final moment you attempted to connect with me. What would have been the purpose? Autumn inquired, and now the tears flowed without restraint. You had made your decision. The business owned by your father. Your enduring impact. I refused to be the one who ensnared you in a life that wasn't of your own making. The stillness that ensued was pierced solely by the delicate chime of exquisite porcelain from the surrounding tables. Thad gazed at his hands resting on the immaculate white tablecloth, grappling with the enormity of what he had forfeited with a single directive to his assistant, no interruptions. You believed you were shielding me, he said, his gaze gradually rising to meet Autumn's. In your silence, you believed you were granting me the liberty to chase my dreams. Weren't those aspirations more valuable to you than anything else? The sharpness in her tone was softened by lingering sorrow. The illustrious Thaddeus Blackwood, stepping into the legacy of his father, crafting a formidable empire. An empty empire, he responded, his voice trembling. Are you aware of what I accomplished with Sterling Black? What are our plans? Each of them regarded him with the same look of intrigue. Even River appeared to lose her impeccable posture as she leaned in a bit. I created it regardless. 3 years prior. Not in the capacity of our coffee shop chain, but rather as a philanthropic organization. It supports arts education and business training for disadvantaged young people. Each time I strolled by a coffee shop, memories of our dream flooded back to me. You came to mind. Autumn's hand darted to her mouth. The Sterling Black Foundation. That is yours. He affirmed ownership, then turned his gaze toward the girls. And now I guess it's theirs as well. In addition to all the other matters at hand. Phoenix's sharp intellect was evidently in overdrive. The organization that provided financial support for our school's new performing arts center. Is that named after my mother? Thad murmured, a hint of warmth in his voice, it's named after both of us. Sterling Black. I've always reflected on the possibilities of what we might have created together. Skylar, usually so reserved, suddenly found her voice. Mom tears up whenever she reads about the foundation in the paper. She maintains a collection of all the articles. Skylar, River interjected with a fierce intensity, a sense of guardianship that tugged at Thad's heart. The girls had spent their childhood observing their mother bear this weight by herself. No, it's fine, Autumn replied, dabbing at her eyes with her napkin. It is essential for them to be aware. I preserved every article because I wanted you all to understand that your FA, that Mr. Blackwood was making a positive impact in the world. That he was more than mere profit margins and corporate takeovers. Yet you never shared the truth with him, Phoenix remarked, her tone laced with a subtle charge of blame. We might have had the chance to know him. We might have contributed to that meaningful endeavor. Did you wish for that? Thad inquired abruptly, his gaze shifting from one girl to the next. To understand me? To become a part of my journey? In a sense, we already are, River responded with a measured tone. Mother ensured we were aware of the environmental initiatives at Blackwood Technologies. We have been observing the philanthropic efforts of your organization. We are equal. She cast a quick look at her sisters, who offered silent support with their nods. Last year, we even invested our allowance money in shares of the company. 1 share for everyone. Thad sensed an overwhelming pressure in his chest, as if his heart were on the verge of exploding. What about your shareholders? Just a few small ones, Phoenix clarified. However, we desired to possess a fragment of, indeed, your realm. Even if you were unaware of our existence. I would have given you the world, Thad whispered, his voice thick with feeling. Everything. All that I have created, all that I embody, it could have belonged to you. It ought to have belonged to you. What comes next? Skylar inquired, her typical vibrant curiosity dimmed by a sense of urgent longing. Is it possible for it to belong to us now? Autumn extended her hand towards her daughter, but Thad interjected before she could speak. It already exists. No matter your desires or preparedness, all that I possess is yours to claim. My identity, my enterprise, my mission, and my soul, if you would accept it. Autumn's sudden gasp pierced the stillness of the moment. Thad, you simply can't. What can't you just do? His voice carried a softness yet held a resolute strength. I can't provide my daughters with what is rightfully theirs. Is it possible to compensate for 9 years of missed opportunities? It's not that straightforward, Autumn argued, but River cut in with a surprising intensity in her typically composed tone. Why isn't it? She inquired, her flawless composure wavering just a bit. Why does it have to be so complicated? We have journeyed through life, only grasping a fragment of our true selves. Perusing articles about our father in business publications, viewing his interviews on CNBC, feigning interest in tales of corporate triumphs as she took a moment to gather her thoughts. Ultimately, we were simply curious about whether our passion for numbers came from him or from you. The numbers are definitely from him, Autumn said softly, a faint smile dancing on her lips. Creativity has always been my forte. Yet both of you reside within us, Phoenix noted, her keen intellect evidently in overdrive. When Skylar performs, she embodies your dramatic flair, Mom, while also channeling Dad's strategic thinking in her approach to each role. The term, Dad lingered in the atmosphere like a delicate soap bubble, and Thad experienced a flutter in his heart upon hearing it for the first time. As River takes charge of the student council meetings, Skylar brings a touch of warmth to the discussion. She incorporates her mother's teaching methods alongside her father's negotiation tactics. We've seen all your TED Talks, she remarked, casting a shy glance at Thad. Every single one? Thad inquired, his voice thick with feeling. On several occasions, Phoenix affirmed. We have examined your public speaking styles, your management principles, and your stance on corporate responsibility. It feels as though we've been preparing for an exam we never anticipated would come our way. The waiter returned, his expression tinged with hesitation. Would you like to place an order? Indeed, River asserted firmly, once more stepping into a leadership role. It's essential for everyone to take a moment to thoroughly examine the menus. And perhaps, she remarked with a meaningful glance at her mother, to explore new avenues. As they all reached for their menus, Thad observed the slight tremor in Autumn's hands. He longed to offer his support as he once did before her college theater performances, yet he felt he no longer had that privilege. Or perhaps he did. As the girls discussed appetizers, he spoke softly, Autumn, I understand this is a lot to take in. For everyone. However, they are remarkable. Your efforts in nurturing them have truly been commendable. If you allow me, I wish to dedicate my life to earning their worthiness. Striving to earn your worth. We cannot simply wipe away 9 years, she murmured. Indeed, he concurred. Perhaps we can create something entirely fresh. Something far superior to Sterling Black might have existed. In unison. Before Autumn had a chance to reply, Skylar's voice interjected with its usual fervor. Mom, they're serving your beloved chocolate souffle for dessert. Recall how you mentioned it brought back memories of your initial outing with. She halted suddenly, her gaze darting between her parents, her eyes growing wider with surprise. Ah, spending time with father. Here it is. Within the confines of this dining establishment. The memory struck them both at once, their first date at Le Jardin, where they could barely manage it on their graduate student budgets, sharing that same souffle because they could only afford one dessert between them. Had Autumn been visiting this place all these years, consistently choosing the same dessert, preserving that cherished memory? The expression in her eyes revealed all the truths he sought. If you're finding this video enjoyable and crave more content of this nature, don't forget to click that subscribe button and activate the notification bell. In that manner, you'll be sure to catch all the incredible tales we have in store for you. Your encouragement truly fuels the channel's growth and enables us to continue delivering the content you enjoy. Thanks a lot. The waiter came back to take their orders, offering a momentary break from the emotional intensity. Thad observed the distinct ways each girl placed her order. Phoenix sought intricate details about the preparation methods, Skylar made her choice with an infectious enthusiasm, and River skillfully negotiated a slight modification to the menu with a touch of diplomacy. Much like a board meeting, he whispered, drawing a curious glance from Autumn, the analyst, the innovator, and the negotiator. They embody the ideal corporate synergy. They're not a corporate team, Autumn remarked with a hint of edge before her tone softened. They are merely girls. Our daughters. Who should have the freedom to simply be girls. Thad gave a slow nod. Indeed, you are correct. I apologize. I believe I'm seeking ways to connect with them through the only reality I've experienced for the last 9 years. We don't mind, Phoenix interjected, clearly having been attentive. I've been curious about your recent shift towards investments in sustainable technology. The market analysis you released last quarter indicated. Phoenix, Autumn interjected softly, perhaps we could postpone the business discussion for a later time. River pushed boundaries, catching everyone off guard with her fervor. For an additional 9 years. Mother, we have navigated our entire lives with caution regarding this topic. In his vicinity. About our identity. Perhaps it's time to cease the facade that we are merely 3 ordinary talented students at Wellington Prep. Skylar nodded with enthusiasm. Indeed. Do you have any idea how challenging it is to act like we don't see when the business newspapers feature Dad's picture on the cover? Or when other kids discuss the latest initiative from the Sterling Black Foundation? Or when Grandmother Sterling mentions that we possess our father's business acumen but declines to elaborate further on him? Phoenix interjected softly. Thad's head jerked upward. Does Margaret still mention me? It was purely by chance, River clarified. typically following her second glass of wine during festive dinners. She has a photo of you and Mom from college in her study, but she always turns it face down when we come over. The mention of Margaret Sterling stirred up a fresh tide of memories, recalling her passionate backing of his and Autumn's college romance, as well as her heartbreak when they parted ways. He had often pondered whether she was aware of the girls, if she had played a role in the choice to keep them away from him. He spoke gently, revealing that she had never forgiven him for prioritizing the company over her daughter. Autumn amended her statement, a softer edge to her tone now, though I guess we didn't allow you the opportunity to decide otherwise. Would you possess? Schuyler inquired abruptly. Selected in another way? Had you been aware of our existence? The inquiry lingered, echoing softly like a held chord in an orchestral arrangement. Thad gazed intently at the expressions of those around him. These extraordinary girls, who bore his DNA, had been molded by Autumn's nurturing love and wisdom. He reflected on the solitary years spent at the helm of Blackwood Technologies, the bittersweet triumph of every successful merger, the vacant penthouse that awaited him each night. In an instant, he replied, his tone gritty with determination. All that I've created, all that I've accomplished, pales in significance to what I lost with you. Together with all of you. Autumn's breath hitched, and he noticed tears welling up in her eyes once more. The girls shared fleeting looks, a silent understanding flowing among them. Well, River said, adjusting her silverware with careful intent, perhaps it's not too late to choose a different path now. The arrival of their appetizers brought a fleeting sense of normalcy to the surreal evening. Thad observed Phoenix as she carefully captured images of her dish for her study, while Schuyler eagerly indulged without hesitation, and River patiently held back, waiting for the others to begin before savoring her first deliberate bite. So, Thad inquired, you're all residing in Seattle now? At Wellington Preparatory School. Not for long, Schuyler exclaimed with enthusiasm, only to swiftly cover her mouth as River cast her a cautionary glance. Whoops. Autumn let out a soft breath as she placed her fork on the table. We had planned to make the announcement tonight, in fact. Prior to all of this, I have received an offer to take on the role of head of creative arts and business education at Riverside Academy, located in New York. Thad felt a sudden jolt in his chest. Is it Riverside? That's a mere 10 minutes away from the headquarters of Blackwood Technologies. We understand, Phoenix remarked with depth. We conducted thorough research on the school's location in relation to various points of interest throughout the city. Autumn added softly that the girls had been accepted into their gifted program. Comprehensive scholarships. We had intended to relocate here this summer ahead of the upcoming school year. Were. River swiftly grasped the past tense. Mother, surely this won't alter those plans? If anything, Phoenix interjected, being close to both parents could offer greater chances for academic and personal development. Schuyler nodded with great enthusiasm. Additionally, their drama department is exceptional. They host a business innovation club that collaborates directly with actual companies. She let her voice fade, casting a hopeful glance at Thad. And perhaps, he suggested thoughtfully, they might be inclined to collaborate with the Sterling Black Foundation? Or even the Youth Mentorship Initiative by Blackwood Technologies. Thad, Autumn cautioned, yet he noticed the determination fading in her gaze. I'm not attempting to win their favor, he stated hastily. However, these programs are indeed in existence. They are crafted for the exceptional intellects I observe gathered around this table. Is it just to withhold opportunities from them solely due to their father's involvement? Their father, Autumn murmured gently, trying out the phrase. Hearing that spoken aloud feels quite surreal. Odd yet factual, River stated with her usual tact. As the president-elect of the student body at my current school, I can confidently assert that ignoring the truth seldom results in positive results. Phoenix placed her fork down with meticulous accuracy. I have been examining the factors related to our possible move. The educational prospects, the cultural benefits, and the closeness to extended family, including recently found relatives. She cast a fleeting look at Thad. The evidence compellingly backs the decision. I have already committed my audition piece for the Riverside Drama Club to memory. Skylar included. Is that from the play you and Dad performed in college, Mom? The Glass Menagerie. Autumn's hand quivered slightly as she extended it toward her glass of water. You discovered our vintage playbill? In your memory box, all three girls chimed together, then burst into laughter at their perfect harmony. That memory box carries a heavy burden, Thad remarked with a faint smile before his expression shifted to one of gravity. Perhaps it has been safeguarding these memories until we were prepared to confront them. Until we were prepared to create new ones. River noted that Mom always insists we shouldn't dwell on the past. We must consistently look ahead and strategize for what lies ahead. The future, Thad mused contemplatively. I've dedicated 9 years to envisioning a future I believed was meant for me. Strategic discussions, mergers, growth initiatives. As I sit here now, gazing at all of you, it dawns on me that I have been envisioning the wrong future all this time. The main courses arrived, steaming and artfully plated, yet the diners appeared to be preoccupied, their attention drifting away from the culinary creations before them. Thad observed as Autumn instinctively adjusted Skylar's napkin. A maternal intuition he had overlooked as it blossomed. I have a confession to make, he said suddenly, prompting all four of them to glance up in surprise. The dinner reservation for Tuesday night. It transcended mere routine. I held on to it because. He hesitated, summoning his bravery. This was our night, after all. An evening for two. Each Tuesday for a span of 2 years during my college days. I suppose I haven't truly moved on from it. Just as Mom clung to the dream of the coffee shop, Phoenix watched intently. She keeps 3 distinct business plans in her desk, each one tailored to reflect the current market conditions. The season wore a warm hue. You went through my desk. For the sake of research, River explained with tact. We were striving to grasp the entirety of it all. All that we overlooked, Thad murmured gently. All that I overlooked. Initial strides, initial utterances. Initially, business proposals, Skylar remarked with a smile. Last year, we ventured into the world of lemonade futures on the playground. Prospects. Thad found himself chuckling uncontrollably. What was the outcome of that? We captured the market by pre-selling to the educators, Phoenix explained. Subsequently, we channeled the profits into a cookie enterprise. Which River made its way into the school cafeteria, Skylar declared with pride. The profit margins were quite respectable, River said, sitting up straighter. However, our mother insisted that we contribute the majority of it to the school library. Autumn shook her head, a smile playing on her lips. I should have realized they inherited that drive from you. They have been managing various enterprises since the age of 6. 6. Thad's voice wavered a bit. What was your initial endeavor? The girls shared a knowing look before Phoenix responded. We crafted and sold friendship bracelets. However, we added an unexpected element by providing an insurance policy. Should the friendship come to a close, they could exchange the bracelet for store credit. Credit for the store. Thad gazed at Autumn in wonder. At the age of 6. A complete return policy system has been established, she confirmed. Finish with a survey to gauge customer satisfaction. With a serious tone, Phoenix elaborated on how the data contributed to enhancing our product line. Thad sensed the familiar sting of tears welling up once more. They mirrored him in many ways, yet possessed their own distinct identities. So influenced by the essence of Autumn, yet inherently driven by their entrepreneurial instincts. I want to know everything, he declared abruptly, his voice charged with intensity. Each entrepreneurial endeavor, each theatrical performance, each scientific exploration. I'm curious about their first day of school, the books they love most, and the dreams they hold dear. I desire. He gazed at Autumn with a sense of desperation. I aspire to take on the role of their father. Not merely in a biological sense, but truly their father. If you would allow me to. We want that too, River said softly, voicing the shared sentiment of all three girls. We have accomplished a great deal thus far, yet. She cast a quick look at her sisters, who offered silent support with their nods. Yet, there has always been a sense that a crucial member of our life's team was absent. That's quite a professional way to express it, Autumn remarked, though her tone was soft. Indeed, we are the Blackwoods, Schuyler noted. Even if we had been utilizing the Sterling name. The stillness that ensued was thick with potential. Thad gazed at Autumn, truly observing her, recognizing both the girl he had cherished in college and the resilient woman who had single-handedly nurtured their daughters. What if, he mused, we ceased allowing the shadows of our past to shape the path ahead? What if we harnessed all this love, all this potential, and created something extraordinary? Not just exceptional black coffee shops, but something grander, a sense of family. If you're finding this video enjoyable and crave more content like this, don't forget to tap that subscribe button and activate the notification bell. In that manner, you will be sure to catch all the incredible tales we have on the horizon. Your encouragement truly fuels the channel's growth and allows us to continue delivering the content you enjoy. Thanks a lot. Autumn gently wiped her eyes with her napkin, gathering her thoughts before she began to speak. Creating a family isn't as straightforward as establishing a business, Thad. Building trust requires time and patience. Similar to a strategic investment, Phoenix suggested, eliciting a faint smile from each parent. Precisely, Autumn concurred. I truly value your excitement, but we must consider what is in the best interest of the girls. We're right here, River said softly. We have reached an age where our voices matter in this corporate merger. Thad found himself laughing at her choice of words. Indeed, you are correct. Perhaps we ought to consider putting it to a vote. The democratic process and everything that entails. Oh, similar to a shareholder meeting? Schuyler jounced in her chair. Given that we are all stakeholders at this point. Though they were only minor shareholders, Phoenix reminded her sister, a smile graced her lips as well. Well then, River declared, adjusting her posture to an even more upright position, if that was conceivable. As the acting chairperson of this meeting, I propose that we delve into the practical considerations of incorporating Blackwood Technologies CEO into our family structure. Agreed, Phoenix responded without hesitation as she reached for her phone. I have begun compiling a list of advantages and disadvantages. Hold on, Autumn interjected, a trace of amusement dancing in her voice now. This matter cannot simply be decided by a casual vote at dinner. What's stopping us? Schuyler inquired. After 9 long years of anticipation. Isn't that sufficient exploration of the market? Thad leaned in, his voice low yet filled with intensity. Observe them in Autumn. They are exceptionally insightful, reflective, and evidently adept at grasping intricate circumstances. They have observed me from a distance all this time, seeking to understand their father through news articles and annual reports. Shouldn't they have the opportunity to truly understand who I am? And don't you deserve to uncover them, she responded softly. Their true selves, beyond mere accomplishments and professional endeavors. Their anxieties, their uncertainties, their tousled hair in the morning and their evening irritability. Everything, he asserted with conviction. I desire everything. The bright moments and the challenging ones. The triumphs and setbacks. The science fairs and the bruised knees. Schuyler mentioned, I have a scar from falling off my bike, with a hint of helpfulness in their tone. Care to take a look? Not at the dinner table, dear, Autumn said instinctively, then realized she was slipping back into old habits of parenting in front of Thad. The weight of sharing these moments suddenly crashed down on her. I have a proposal, River declared, retrieving a small notebook from their bag. A step-by-step approach to integration, if you please. Initiating weekly family dinners to create a foundation of compatibility. Accompanied by planned engagements that resonate with our personal passions. Phoenix pressed on, grasping the concept swiftly. I possess a number of scientific hypotheses that I would like to explore from a new angle. I could use some assistance with my Dorothy monologue. Skylar included. Mom mentioned that you were quite the remarkable wizard back in college, Dad. The term, Dad, still coursed through Thad's being, yet this time it brought with it a wave of happiness instead of sorrow. He gazed at Autumn, attempting to express the depth of his emotions solely through his eyes. She remarked gently that they have undoubtedly taken after your knack for planning. And my resolve. A perilous mix, he conceded with a grin. A temptation that's bound to be irresistible. In perfect harmony, the three girls exclaimed, then burst into fits of laughter. The dessert menus were presented, and without a word, they all instinctively understood what would be chosen. The chocolate souffle, a vessel of cherished memories. While they awaited its preparation, the dialogue shifted to a more earnest tone. Autumn leaned in slightly, her fingers delicately tracing the stem of her water glass, as if preparing to unveil a secret. There's something else you should know, she said, her voice low and inviting. There's a secret I've kept to myself, one I've never shared with anyone, not even the girls. All four of them leaned in a bit, drawn in by the weight of her words. The moment I discovered I was expecting. I made multiple attempts to convey this to you. She fixed her gaze on Thad. I visited your office 3 times that week. Every time your assistant mentioned that you were too occupied. On the 3rd attempt, I caught a glimpse of you through the transparent barriers of your office, exchanging handshakes with the members of your father's board. Thad sensed the hue vanish from his complexion. The week of the merger announcement. During the process of transitioning the company to private ownership. She continued, her voice laced with admiration, you appeared so content, so confident in your direction. I observed you for a full 10 minutes, standing in the lobby, one hand resting on my stomach where our daughters were developing. You remained engrossed in your papers, your gaze never drifting to the lobby where I stood waiting. At that moment, the realization struck me. What did you know? River inquired gently, her typical poise faltering. I couldn't be the one to hinder his aspirations. His father was unwell, the company relied on him, and a pregnancy, particularly one as complex as this. Autumn's voice wavered just a bit. I believed I was acting with honor, granting you the liberty to evolve into your true self. But you were both destined to be our parents, Phoenix said, her analytical tone softening with emotion. Based on my analysis, the likelihood of effective co-parenting would have been considerably greater if both individuals had engaged from the outset. Nice job making it scientific, sis, Skylar remarked, though her eyes were glistening with tears. Thad extended his arm over the table, paused for a moment, and then softly grasped Autumn's hand. She remained close. Are you aware of what I was working on in those documents that day? He inquired softly. She gently shook her head. Plans for the growth of a coffee shop chain. I was exploring ways to acquire and transform some underperforming cafes, reshaping them into the vision we had for Sterling Black. I believed that if I could achieve success quickly enough, perhaps you would overlook my decision to prioritize the company. I had planned to catch you off guard with it. Oh, Autumn exhaled, a glimmer of comprehension lighting up her gaze. For 9 years, I dedicated myself to realizing another's vision, believing that my own aspirations had slipped away. He tightened his grip on her hand just a bit. Yet, my vision extended beyond mere coffee shops and business strategies. It was centered around creating something alongside you. And now, there's an abundance left to create, River completed for him, her voice heavy with feeling. United, Phoenix asserted with conviction. With her usual fervor, Skylar wrapped up the discussion as a family. The souffle appeared at just the right moment, steam wafting from its rich surface, reminiscent of that evening 9 years prior when two college graduates exchanged their aspirations over a sweet treat. "I propose an amendment to the integration plan," River announced, sitting up straighter as she struggled to hold back tears. "Commencing immediately. Neither next week nor following a thorough analysis period." "At this moment." "Absolutely," Phoenix replied without hesitation, her eyes glimmering with a hint of suspicion. "Is everyone in agreement?" Skylar inquired, lifting her hand high. For additional hands clasped hers with unwavering certainty. As they indulged in the souffle, 5 spoons were used this time instead of 2. Marcel made his way to their table, his face reflecting a sense of regret. "I apologize, Miss Sterling and Mr. Blackwood, but we are approaching the end of the day." All eyes turned upward in astonishment. Inexplicably, hours slipped away as if they were mere minutes. The restaurant lay almost deserted, city lights shimmering beyond the windows where the hues of sunset had once painted the sky at the beginning of their evening. Time takes on a unique rhythm when one is in the process of reshaping their destiny, River noted with a thoughtful gaze. "Speaking of crafting narratives," Phoenix added, pulling out her phone, "I've outlined a preliminary schedule for family activities, considering everyone's current commitments and the best chances for connection. And I've already informed all my friends that I'm about to become a dad." Skylar declared, prompting Autumn to almost fumble her spoon. "When did you do that?" "A group message was sent just 4 minutes ago," River clarified. "Remarkably effective, though perhaps a bit ahead of its time." Thad chuckled, a rich, heartfelt sound that brought smiles to all 4 faces. "I guess that spares us the hassle of making a formal announcement." Regarding that, Autumn inquired thoughtfully, "What precisely are we revealing?" "This goes beyond simply you meeting the girls, Thad. This encompasses all aspects." He extended his hand toward her once more, and this time she responded, bridging the gap between them. "Everything aligns perfectly with my desires. The company, the foundation, this family, they can now unite as one shared vision. They can become a shared vision realized together." With appropriate corporate supervision, River contributed significantly to the humor, bringing joy to everyone. "And consistent board meetings," Phoenix proposed. "And evenings filled with games and laughter among loved ones," Skylar interjected. "Every thriving organization requires activities that foster teamwork." As they collected their belongings to depart, Thad lingered for a moment, observing his newly discovered family. The girls were eagerly mapping out the activities for tomorrow, their voices intertwining with excitement. Autumn observed them with a blend of affection and wonder, as though perceiving them from a fresh perspective. "You know," he said softly, coming up beside her, "I always believed my father's most important lesson was about business. He often remarked that success is founded on connections. Yet, I misjudged it for an extended period." He wasn't referring to professional connections. He spoke of this, as Autumn concluded her gestures towards their daughters. Thad concurred regarding family. The paramount merger of them all. As they stepped out of Le Jardin together, a family for the first time, the essence of their journey was unmistakable. At times, the most significant errors we make stem from our attempts to shield others from our affection instead of having the courage to express it openly. Success transcends mere dollars or accolades, it lies in the bonds we create and the love we are prepared to champion. It's always possible to adjust our path, to embrace love instead of fear, and to transform lost chances into fresh starts. The most profound investments we can undertake are not in financial markets or corporations, but in the souls of those we cherish. Thank you all for experiencing this remarkable tale. If you found it enjoyable and wish to support the channel, you can now utilize YouTube's Super Thanks feature to express your gratitude. Each input plays a vital role in enabling us to produce additional material of this nature. Remember to show your support by liking, sharing your insights on this family's journey in the comments, and passing this video along to someone who could benefit from its message. Keep in mind that love always has a way of returning, no matter the time. Catch you in the next video.